We have two of some of the largest mammalian predators to walk the planet going up against each other in today's video. In the red corner, we have one of the largest bears to ever exist, Arctodus simus, better known as the short-faced bear. And in the blue corner, we have the Terminator hippo, the hell pig, the Daeodon. Which predator will be crowned the king of the Ice Age? Let's find out. G'day ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host and today's video will be an interesting one. These two impressive predators will offer a close and exciting match. So sit back, relax, don't forget your popcorn, and let's get into it. Let's kick it off with the henged Yogi bear. The short-faced bear was one of the most intimidating predators to ever come from the Pleistocene period. This colossal bear was 1.6 meters at the shoulder, and standing up on its hind legs, we'd just see how massive it was. It was capable of standing over 3 meters in height. Its weight was a jaw-dropping 800 to 950 kilograms, which I mean, wow, what a unit. When we think about it slightly deeper, considering the largest polar bear reached approximately a ton in weight, I'd wager that it's more than likely the short-faced bear could have easily crossed this threshold. But moving down to the Daeodon, known as the hell pig, despite it being more related to the hippopotamus rather than the pig, we see that it was impressive as it was unique. Its build was almost the total opposite of its opponent. It measured approximately 1.77 meters at the shoulder and a total length of 2 to 3 meters. The enormous jaws which it housed measured 90 centimeters in length. That's a third of its size being dedicated to the skull alone. In terms of weight, this creature most likely weighed similar to the short-faced bear. The larger weight estimates put it between 900 kilos to even a ton. Moving to speed and agility, we see the bigger difference between these two animals. Despite the short-faced bear's massive size, it was still capable of reaching quite impressive speeds. Its typical walking speed would have been around 9 kilometers an hour, with its absolute peak running speed topping out at approximately 45 kilometers per hour. This was thanks to the bear's tall front and back limbs, which assisted in them being built for greater endurance and speeds. However, the bear's agility wouldn't have been too much to gloat over. Due to its size and long limbs, they weren't specialized to making sudden turns while chasing. Despite this weakness though, I don't believe that it would affect it too much in this battle. Now compare that to the Daeodon and we see a clear difference. Unfortunately, there aren't numerous sources to pick from when it comes to the Daeodon's speed. However, by studying its build, I'd give it an estimated walking speed of around 7 kilometers an hour, and its top running speed be around 25 to 30 kilometers an hour. It could very well be possible to be more or less, but judging by its leg structure compared to its body, as well as having to carry around its massive skull, I think that the speed I gave it was pretty fair. In terms of agility, Daeodon had relatively short limbs for its size, which is another indicator that it may not have been highly agile. It seems that it wasn't able to facilitate quick movements. I feel that it's clear that Daeodon was more built for power and stability rather than speed and agility. Now the short-faced bear was set when it came to weaponry, in both quality and quantity. Its jaws, despite being infamously known as the short-faced bear, was still impressive. Using studies carried out by National Geographic, as well as others based on its relative in South America, known as Agriotherium by D.D. Steindar et al., its bite force came out to be between 4,566 newtons to 5,000 newtons of force. That's over 1,000 pounds of pressure. It not only had its impressive bite, but also its powerful limbs. These limbs were definitely capable of dishing out some major damage. If we take a look at the smaller grizzly bear, it's said to be able to knock the head off of a moose. So imagine what its massive ancestor is capable of. However, this bear had reduced mobility in its forearms compared to modern bears, which would hinder it when trying to grapple around the massive jaws of its opponent. On the other side of the coin, the Daeodon had an incredibly large head with a wide gape and strong jaws. Its jaws were filled with large sharp teeth that was capable of crushing bones and tearing through rough and tough plant material. These features made its bite a formidable weapon for capturing prey or scavenging of carcasses. Now again, there's lacking papers on the Daeodon's bite, which means we have to estimate what its bite force actually was. For that, I'm going to use its closest ancestor, the hippopotamus. Hippos have a bite force of around 8,100 newtons or 1,800 psi. Considering the Daeodon's skull is longer and seems to be more compact, I'd place the bite force around the same, if not more, than the hippo. I mean, either way that you look at it, even if this guess is inaccurate, I don't think anyone would disagree that the Daeodon's bite would be far more impressive than that of what the short bear has to offer. I will say though, the Terminator pig is limited to only having one weapon. It doesn't have jaws like the bear, but rather mainly relies on its hefty build and monstrous jaws. In terms of intelligence, the short-faced bear, alike to its modern relatives, would have likely been an intelligent animal. This is supported by the fact that the fossils of Arctodus simus suggest that its brain size was relatively larger to its body compared to its contemporary counterparts. And with the large brain size, we often will attribute that to a more complex and cognitive ability. It's also likely that these bears scavenged off other predators, knowing that they'll be able to bully them off of it. This would reflect a sense of intelligence that would later contribute to their battle intelligence. Now, determining the intelligence of Daeodon is challenging to say the very least, especially with the lack of data and research, but we'll still do it. My personal opinion on this animal is that it was of an average intelligence. With its omnivorous diet of both plant matter and animals, you could make the argument that it had cognitive flexibility as well as hunting activities which would have contributed to problem-solving adaptability. But comparing it to the short-faced bear, which has modern ancestors that actively show impressive feats of intelligence, I'd have to say that the bear takes the edge. Studies over the skull of the short-faced bear reveals that its major sense was within its nose. A large opening of its nasal region revealed that the bear held an enormous amount of nasal tissue. This is believed to have assisted the bear in having an amazing sense of smell. This would allow it to catch a sense of prey, carcasses, and competition, as well as inhale large amounts of oxygen while in pursuit of prey. Not only this, but alike to most bears, Arctodus simus would have likely had reasonably effective vision, being adapted for various lighting conditions and to see over decent distances. The Daeodon's outward snout, formed in a narrow shape, would have provided them a directional sense of smell. This would have greatly assisted the animal in not only locating prey, but tracking it over an extended distance. The vision, however, on these omnivores may have been a bit subpar. This is due to them likely having relatively small and weak eyes compared to its large body. This could mean that it relied on hearing and smell to track down prey, but I just don't think that its vision would have been as great as the bear. The short-faced bear had a plethora of competition within its ecosystem, the most impressive of which included the infamous Smilodon, direwolf, and North American lion. Each of these predators offered a different type of competition to the bear, yet with the bear's massive size, it would have more than likely dominated the ecosystem. I'd even consider the herbivorous prey to be more impressive than the bear's competitors. This bear would have likely hunted bison, camels, horses, potentially even ground sloths, and maybe juvenile of the larger creatures, such as the mammoths. All these herbivores would have easily reached over a ton in weight, although there has been a bit of debate over the strictness of the diet of these bears. Depending on the study that you look at, they say various things, from hypercarnivore to omnivore to mainly herbivorous. However, judging by the studies stating that it contained massive amounts of nitrogen, similar to other hypercarnivores, I'm going to side with it mostly being a meat-consuming mammal, although it wouldn't have turned down consuming plant matter depending on the resources available. During its existence, the Daeodon lived throughout a wide range of North America, meaning it would have seen almost everything that the continent had to offer. It likely consisted of foraging, particularly off of roots, nuts, and other plant matter, though its massive and powerful jaws allowed it to scavenge and hunt prey if need be. It's kind of funny though, because they could be considered almost similar to the bears in their diet, eating practically anything depending on the resources. The most impressive prey it would have hunted would have been the Molupus, which would have stood around 2.4 meters at the shoulder and weighed over 1 ton, possibly even 1.7 tons. Whether or not they hunted them could be debated, but at the very least, there's evidence of tooth markings which match up with the Daeodon, so they would have scavenged off of it and been capable of destroying their bones. Also, tooth marks were discovered on their skulls, suggesting that interspecies fighting occurred and was quite common. Males would have likely fought over dominance and then hence improved their fighting ability. Also, the healing of the bones demonstrates that these guys were capable of taking a beating and still survive. Although at its extinction, it seems to have been outcompeted by the large bear dog, which was not only smaller than it, but faster and, most importantly, more intelligent. In my opinion, this demonstrates that the stockier build and the lack of intelligence of this creature meant that it was more vulnerable to smarter and faster predators. But alright, who wins this battle of the prehistoric mammals? I'll be honest, picking a winner for this battle was incredibly difficult. I mean, both of their weights are very similar, with either one being either more or less. However, I do think that the Daeodon had a much more stockier and robust build. Its quality of jaw surpassed the weaponry that the short-faced bear had to offer. It was also durable to sustain bites from other members of its own species, and that massive shoulder and neck is almost like a bison, which would have assisted in a strong bite as well as carrying around its heavy skull. Yet the bear was capable of standing on its hind legs for extra height. It had both jaws and claws to use as weapons. Not only this, but it was faster, likely more agile, and definitely more intelligent, all features that drove the Daeodon to extinction in the first place. I mean, when you compare the two skeletal structure, it's evident that the Daeodon was more focused in having a massive upper body, an impressively developed neck and shoulders, as well as having a wider chest. Whereas the bear has the stronger lower body, a much thicker lumbar spine, and comparatively massive hips with thicker hind limbs. It's almost like they balance each other out. The issue also is, in order for the bear to grapple the hell pig, it had to get close enough to do so. And I don't imagine the pig would just allow the bear to grapple against it without giving it a solid bite. Also, if the bear stands onto its hind legs for intimidation, it's vulnerable to a charge or fatal bites. As unlike the competitors it had to deal with, the Terminator hippo is like a bison with the jaws of a crocodile. It's of the same weight category, unlike the lions and wolves, which is something that the bear hadn't quite had to deal with. But then again, who knows if the bear's speed and agility could give it an upper hand in getting close enough to grapple by its side. I mean, it's a tough one. Ultimately though, I think I'd have to give it to the Daeodon 6 to 7 times out of 10. This is mainly just due to the builds of it. The Daeodon seems to be much more sturdy and compact, closer to the ground, which could allow it to destroy its limbs and then eventually get a fatal blow, or maybe it charges and rams the bear to the ground. I just feel there's more chances for the Daeodon to win, but it's a difficult one nonetheless. It's not a low difficulty situation, it'd be a high extreme difficulty battle. But yeah, the winner of this video is the Daeodon. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed these two impressive creatures going at it. I will say there's definitely room for argument to put the short-faced bear as the winner. Yet I just felt that the overall build of the Daeodon almost acted as a counter to the bear. Yet if you disagree, then I'd be eager to read why in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. See ya.